It's Mando Friday. It's Mando Saturday. It's Mando Saturday. I couldn't post yesterday because work, but we're back. We're here. We got the setup. We got the prawn cocktail Pringles in the back there. We're all good. So yes, The Mandalorian chapter 15? 15. I can't remember what it was called. The something. But yes, this episode we're all worried about the baby. We want them to get the baby. We see no baby this episode, which, to be fair, it didn't actually bother me that much. I mean, as much as I love the little guy, I didn't really even think about it throughout this episode because I was quite invested in their mission. Now, you could maybe see this as a filler episode, but it is actually doing something progressive. You know, they can't just go straight to finding Grogu. You know, they've got to do some shit to find some coordinates, find out where Moff's at, find his ship, and get on with it. We kind of always knew this was just going to be the setup, the setup to the big finale, the last episode. And that's what this is. Mando's building a team. He's got Cara Dune back. He's got Boba. He's got Fennec. And he's like, you know what? I need Bill fucking Burr and his comedic genius to help me get back my child. They bring Bill Burr back. They develop his character a bit more. You know, obviously we had him in that episode from season 1, which was a good episode, the Bounty Hunter one. But he's back again. And they need him because he's ex-Empire and he can sign into like a Empire terminal and then find out where Moff's at. So that's basically their mission. Their mission is to get into an Empire base and get to a terminal. In order to do that, they have to hijack like a big vehicle, like a Juggernaut, like the clone Juggernaut tanks. And this episode was funny, not just because of Bill Burr and his, you know, he's a funny guy, we all know this. But the fact that Mando actually had to get out of his Mandalorian armor and put on a Stormtrooper armor. Now he gets changed in private, whatever, because he doesn't want anyone to see his face at all. And we've only seen his face the once in season 1, right at the end when he was like injured. Felt like a one-off, and you know, gone this whole season not seeing it, and I like the fact that we don't see his face. But in this episode, we do see our boy. We see him. He has to take his helmet off in order to access a terminal. Like I said, I don't really want to see his face, and I thought it would bother me when he took his helmet off, but it didn't actually bother me. It kind of felt cool. It felt nice that we got to see him because it does feel like a big deal to see his face. It's something you feel like you shouldn't be seeing, you know? It's like when the hot teacher bends over and you see, that was cool. You know, obviously Bill Burr sees his face, but you know, because they, you know, shit goes tits up at the fucking base, you know, they get what they need, but you know, as per, we always knew they weren't just going to go in, get out, and they'd have no problem with the Empire. The Empire did clock on, thanks to Bill, and boom. Shots firing everywhere, everyone's bopping off, but you know, Cara Dune and Fennec are very good shots, I've got to say. With a sniper, they're very handy. That's some MW2, you know, style shooting. It's very good. Boba's just chilling. He picks them up, you know, in order for them to escape the base. Boba's got 2 TIE fighters on his ass. He needs to drop something on them. You see the little thing open up and you see a seismic charge. I was like, oh my god, no way. Now, the seismic charge is the Attack of the Clones bomb that Jango has, the one that makes no noise and then just goes, creates a blue shockwave. It's like the best bomb ever. Would highly recommend you get one. And then you get a nice little, you know, message at the end. Mando sends like a hologram message to Moff saying, listen, you don't realise what you've taken from me. That's my kid. I want it back. It in so many words, you know, it's a bit more. But, you know, he really sounds like he cares for this. He's like, you have no idea how much that child means to me. And, you know, you just sort of think, wow, like, Mando would never be like this. He was just, you know, a bounty hunter. He didn't give a shit about anything. But he genuinely cares about this child. He wants it back, and he's going to get that shit back, so I can't wait to see that. But yeah, for the episode, it was good. It was actually really entertaining. You know, not as good as last week's, but last week's was a big episode. It's a different type of episode. This was sort of a bit more action-packed, a bit more fillery, but, you know, it's to progress the story, so I don't mind. But something I want to talk about that is, it's sort of bothering me, and you know, I heard it a couple of weeks ago, is that people think this, you know, them getting Baby Yoda to clone him or, you know, do tests on him is in order to justify why Palpatine was in the sequels, is in like they're going to take blood from him in order to clone Palpatine and make him powerful. Now, as a Star Wars fan, and I think all other Star Wars fans, I speak for them, we hope to God that's not what this is. Like, we love The Mandalorian as a standalone thing, and no one actually wants it to be, you know, setting up the sequels or trying to justify them. Like, for me, I feel like the sequels are unsavable. I feel like there's no point trying to save it, and it would really ruin the quality of the Mandalorian if if they were just trying to make it a sequel setup, trying to make things make sense. Like the sequels don't make sense because it was made by 3 different directors, and each director was just told by Disney, do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, it was 2 different directors, but they took turns in between, so it's just an absolute shambles. And I hope they're not trying to fix that mess. That mess can't be fixed. Like you can't fix Star Wars by trying to fix the sequels. You just got to make better stuff. So I hope that is not what's happening with this. I hope it's just something unrelated. But I have a horrible feeling it's not, because in that episode we saw a couple weeks back, where they blow up that Empire base and you see like tanks with people in, and people saying it looks a bit like Snoke, it looks a bit like the Emperor. It does, unfortunately, but I hope to God that's not the case, because if they do that, I know I'm just going to be like, oh, fuck. They have such a good thing going here, and it would be awful for them to cock it up. And I hope they've seen somewhat of I hope they've seen people talking about that and saying, oh, fuck, I hope they're not trying to justify the sequels. Because then they might be like, oh, shit. And they might need to change that storyline real quick, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope that's not where they're going with it. And I hope this story just continues to be its own thing, because it's very strong like that, and no one wants to know about the sequels. Like, it's nice that we're still seeing Empire stormtroopers and none of this First Order shit. I don't want to see anything to do with 7. I want it to stay far away from that timeline, as far away as it possibly can, and leave it at that. But yeah, that was The Mandalorian Chapter 15, The Something. I can't remember what it was called. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Mando Saturdays. It will probably be a Mando Saturday again next week, because I'm working on Friday. But we'll see. In a biz.